Adonai can handle your struggle. Genesis chapter 26 verses 12 to 35. Isaiah chapter 65 verses 23 to chapter 66 verse 8. And Romans chapter 9 verses 6 to 18. Introduction. Have you ever struggled in your life? Have you tried to let God handle it? Last parasha, there was a famine in the land and Adonai Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh instructed Isaac not to go down in Egypt. He went to Abimelech the king of the Philistines in Gerar and he told the men of the place that Rebekah was his sister. Abimelech noticed that there was a sweet talk between Isaac and Rebekah, and Abimelech approached Isaac. Our Torah portion started with Isaac who reaped 100-fold because Adonai blessed him. Isaac became prosperous and had great servants and that's the reason why the Philistines envied him. During the stay of Isaac in Gerar, he had many struggles. First, the Philistines stopped up all the wells which Abraham's servants dug. Since they were staying in desert land, wells were very important as a source of water. Because of envy, these Philistines did not honor the covenant that happened between Abraham and Abimelech in Beersheba. Genesis chapter 21 verses 25 to 31. Second, Abimelech dismissed him. The king's reason to dismiss Isaac was that he mightier than them. Surprisingly, this incident also happened in Exodus chapter 1 verses 7 to 10 where the children of Israel, from Isaac, multiplied and grew exceedingly mighty. There was a new king that time in Egypt who did not know Joseph. He said to his people, "Look, the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come let us deal shrewdly with them, lest they multiply, and fight against us." Third, Isaac's servants dug in the valley and found a well but the herdsmen of Gerar quarreled with them. Twice they dug a well but twice also the herdsmen of Gerar quarreled with them. That's why Isaac named the first well as Ezek, which means quarrel, and the other well he named Sitnah, meaning opposition. The names of the two wells that Isaac gave was a reflection of his experience with the people in Gerar. Now, how did Adonai handle the struggles of Isaac? Number 1, he provides a space for Isaac and his servants. Verse 23, for the third time of digging a well, finally nobody quarreled with him over the water, and Isaac named it Rehoboth, which means wide open space, saying, for now Adonai has made room for us, and we shall be fruitful in the land. Here, Isaac saw how Adonai providentially working out their situation. Number 2, he appeared to Isaac in Beersheba. Verses 23 to 24, since Adonai is an omniscient God, he knew that Isaac needs an encouragement, so he renewed his promise to him. Let's take a look at how Adonai encouraged Isaac. He mentioned that he is the God of his father Abraham, so there's no reason for Isaac to fear, for he is with him. This was a reaffirmation of the Abrahamic covenant. Number 3, he allowed Abimelech to see that he is with Isaac. Verses 28 to 29, from Gerar, Abimelech with his friend and commander of his army came to Isaac and said, we have certainly seen that Adonai is with you. Because of this, he invited Isaac to have an oath and covenant. Maybe Abimelech was guilty because of what his people did to Isaac and his servants in claiming the wells that they did not dig originally. What can we learn from Isaac in times of his struggles in Gerar? Number 1, he avoided conflicts. Verses 15 to 21, even the Philistines envied him and the herdsmen in Gerar insisted the right of the wells. He just dug another well and moved to another place. He learned to ignore people who want conflict. As a grafted-in believer, let us prevent conflict, for it grabs one's peace. Romans 12 verse 18, if possible, so far as it depends on you, live peaceably with all. Number 2, he built an altar. Verse 25, he did this to worship Adonai for giving him an encouragement. In spite of the struggles that Isaac had, he did not forget to worship. Like Isaac, worshipping Adonai in times of struggle can redirect our focus on who he is. Psalm chapter 34 verse 1, I will bless the Lord at all times and his praise shall continually be in my mouth. Our Haftarah portion is about the final prophecy of Isaiah and begins with, thus says the Lord, and he is looking for a heart to dwell in. Instead of dwelling in a mishkan made with human hands, Adonai is looking to reside in the heart of a person who is poor, with contrite spirit, and who trembles at his word. In verses 3 to 4, we can see that Adonai Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh considered the offerings of the wicked as disgusting. Dogs and swines were mentioned and considered as unclean animals, and unacceptable for offering, to show us the dishonesty of one who makes an offering to Adonai. In apostolic portion, Apostle Paul explained that Adonai's word has not failed, since the word is living and powerful. Hebrews chapter 4 verse 12. But Adonai's people did, because they did not understand how Adonai chose those with whom he will have a covenant relationship. That is the reason why Paul used what happened to Isaac and Ishmael, who both came from Abraham. Also, Paul used Jacob and Esau and how Adonai Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh chose between these two. Again, Adonai chooses based on his intelligence. Another way of how Adonai chooses is based on his mercy. Psalm chapter 103 verse 11, For as the heavens are high above the earth, so great is his mercy toward those who fear him. The connection of our parasha is about humility, contrite spirit, and mercy. In Torah, Isaac was humble as he dug another well to avoid the conflict against the Philistines. In Haftarah, Adonai wants a person who is poor and of a contrite spirit. In Apostolic, Adonai will have mercy on whom he wills. Back to my introduction, as a grafted-in believers, we are not excused to encounter struggles in life, and how we handle it determines whether we will win or not. But, if we are going to let Adonai Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh handle our struggles, surely there is victory, because he is greater and bigger than whatever we face in this world. Philippians chapter 1 verse 6, He who began a good work in you, will be faithful to complete it. Shabbat Shalom.